G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for being here and watching my content. As you can see, my depression has been cured over the weekend as Hamish McLennon, this guy, head of Rugby Australia, the cancer that was rotting right at the top of the rugby union here in Australia has been finally been cut loose and gone, and I can finally feel a little bit of a hope going into the 2027 Rugby World Cup right here in the beautiful cities of Australia, right? Best part of Wales, New South Wales included. And yeah, so this was a pretty, let me just turn on the music one sec. Yeah, so this is a pretty big news came out. There was a lot of back and forward, a lot of you guys, I wanted this guy to be gone. I think he did a terrible job long before going into the Rugby World Cup. That was kind of like the biggest and most glaring mistake that he's made, but well in the past I've put into this petition that has been a long-going issues with the way that Rugby Australia has been managed, the way the virtue signal, the lack of support to local communities, so on and so forth, and just like the ego that this guy comes out week after week after week, trying to like what do you call it, gaslight the public about the terrible job that he's been doing, but try to gaslight the public as to he's done a great job in the past. It's an ongoing. He has been doing this ongoingly over the years, and yeah, and I really had enough. And after the Rugby World Cup, and sure enough, I wasn't the only one feeling it. The board of directors, as of Sunday, has stepped in and voted unanimously to remove him as the chairman of Rugby Australia. So there was a bit of an ongoing story before the firing. The unions were actually getting together this week to talk about alignment in Australia. Alignment is a thing. Basically, they wanted to put all the unions in Australia under a communist manifesto and have everybody working together in a community towards presenting a team that is the Wallabies going into the Lions tour and going to the Rugby World Cup for success. That's kind of like what the alignment actually is. But the overall, I guess, the overall feeling at this meeting was people want Hamish McLennon to be removed. So the member unions got together and made their demanded that Hamish McLennon initially to resign. So Queensland, ACT, Western Australia, so ACT is Brumbies, Western Australia is basically Perth, which is Western Force, South Australia, I don't even think they have a team, Tasmania don't have a team, all the territories have a team. So all the unions basically got together. The two unions did not participate. It's New South Wales and Victoria, who are New South Wales is already being acquired by Rugby Australia, so they won't, because they're already under control of Rugby Australia. And Victoria, everybody knows, Victoria has no idea what the fuck they're doing. So neither of them were part of this meeting, and also not meeting, part of this this call for resignation, and also because they're currently engaging in negotiation with Rugby Australia. They want to kind of like hurt themselves a little bit, so that the rest of the unions outside of the two got together and basically claimed that Hamish McLennon has not been acting in the best interest of the game. His leadership, basically everybody lost leadership and trust in his leadership. And what the biggest accusation is that McLennon has been acting outside of his role as a director, exerting an undue influence on the operations and executives of Rugby Australia. And this is particularly referred to the Eddie Jones assignment for the Wallabies coach and the firing of David Rennie. This is basically what's referring to. This was what was referred to as the captain's call, which people said that Hamish McLennon made the decision to sack Rennie and hire Eddie Jones. And everybody also knows that Hamish McLennon is the guy that made the decision to hire Joseph Suaalii, who I have never even heard of before, for $4.8 million for over 3 years, the biggest rugby union contract in Australia, at the age of 19, and also someone who fails to spend that money to develop grassroots, fails to spend that money to retain players from going overseas, and so this has been an ongoing issue by the so-called captain's call from Hamish McLennon, and that's one of the key issues that the members have raised as to his removal. And by the way, the CEO that's been hired, Phil Waugh, went to the same high school as Hamish McLennon at the Shaw School in Sydney. So, yeah, he's got everyone, I mean, I'm sure he's probably got something to say. They're good friends. So you can see that the appointment of the CEO is based on his own friend, right? Like, you can tell there's something greatly corrupt that's going on in Rugby Australia under his chairmanship. And they have basically called in that they would, if he doesn't resign by Friday night, I think it was Saturday night or something, they would hold an extraordinary general meeting as soon as possible to vote for his firing. But luckily for them, so they issued this notice for him to resign. Hamish McLennon refused and saying that, basically he wouldn't go away. He wanted to stay on for the gravy train. And then as soon as the resignation period expired, the board of directors of Rugby Australia got together immediately on Sunday evening and voted unanimously to fire Hamish McLennon on Sunday night. So I think that's a really pretty strong statement from your own board members to remove you immediately. It's not like, the time expired and everybody waited like 3 days or a week or 2 weeks or a month before getting together to get him fired. Everybody was just dying to get rid of him. So as soon as the time for resignation was given to McLennon has expired, the unions didn't even the states didn't even get together, didn't even have the opportunity to get together to vote for to consider to ask for general extraordinary general meeting that they had proposed, right? So this extraordinary general meeting didn't even occur. They didn't even get together the states didn't even get together for this general meeting to be I guess scheduled. The board members already quickly got together and got him removed. That just shows you how much people hated him and wanted to get him out of the system. And then and immediately on Sunday night, he was out. And everybody in the board member voted against him and he was out, and which led to the appointment of new chairman Dan Herbert, who actually played for the Wallabies and won the Rugby World Cup, a former Rugby World Cup winner in 1999, someone who was actually passionate about rugby, which is sigh of relief for me. And they as you would expect for Hamish McLennon, that's something that he's doing over the years, gaslighting people. He's come out and, as following his firing, try to gaslight everybody once again, saying that, believe it or not, him being fired is an act of other members trying to grab power for themselves. The one of the most egotistic, most the captain's pick, the guy that makes all this captain's pick calls is calling other people for trying to grab power. Yeah, dude, just the gaslighting is just absolutely unbelievable. And he comes out and saying that there's a smear campaign against him. Who smeared you, mate? Did Ed Jones try to smear you? I don't know. Who smeared you? Your results speaks for itself, mate. There needs to be no smear campaign. You're an idiot. Everybody can see it. You run your mouth in media every day, including right now in this interview. You're showing everybody in the world you're an idiot. Nobody needs to smear you. Your mouth is doing it for yourself. The only one smearing you is yourself. Just unbelievable, right? And he has the balls to come out and say that he claimed, right, his great work of getting the Rugby World Cup in 2027, the Men's World Cup, and 2029, the Women's World Cup. And he's claiming that he's got the sponsorship on board without mentioning all the sponsorships that he's lost over the years. Remember, we had Qantas, I've already talked in the past. We had, believe it or not, BMW used to be a sponsor. What happened to them? I don't know. And also, just because people are sponsoring you like Cadbury chocolate, right? Are they paying the same amount of money as Qantas and BMW in the past? I mean, if I sell the Wallabies under half the price, half the sponsorship money, I can get everybody on board. I can sign up the entire country. If you're not getting the right price, who cares who you're signing up, right? So he's again just gaslighting, and in fact he's just lying, right? He's saying that Western Force is supporting him. Andrew Forrest, who's the owner of the Western Force, and they basically the owner of Western Force and saying that they're supporting him, despite the fact that Western Force voted as part of the as you saw the initial proposal to get him fired, right? That's his logic. People who wanted him fired supported him. Yeah, like he's just one of the worst people on the planet. And so yeah, he's still very bitter, telling everyone that and he comes in and saying that the big winner is NRL. The fact that he went and poached Joseph Suaalii and started basically a bidding war and led NRL now considering to raise salary caps for union players. He thinks that the NRL won because he's fired. The fact that he started this whole war against NRL, a war that he could not possibly win, considering the financial resources and the influence the NRL has. Somehow he picked a fight with NRL, and now he's like, we lost because I'm gone. Just unbelievable. Get real, mate. You fucking idiot. Just absolute fucking idiot. And anyway, so and he as the new chairman came out and just started made his first statement or whatever. Immediately, he recognizes that rugby union is a community sport that is owned and currently on life support by its most dedicated fans. That is the people that buy the Wallaby tickets, the people that buy Super Rugby memberships. And he made it very clear in his speech that Rugby Australia don't own rugby. It's the fans, the community, the clubs that owns rugby, that owns the Wallabies. Does that sound like someone who's like trying to power grab from you, Hamish? Trying to like take all your power for themselves so they can be a bigger dictator than you were, Hamish? Just come on, man. Like, this guy is just unbelievable. So yeah, there was some talks about the Suaalii deal. Obviously, they have literally come out and stated that they're not going to be offering, despite literally just before the Rugby World Cup, every week Eddie Jones and Hamish McLennon come out and say, we want to buy another guy. We got another guy on the contract. We're talking to this guy. I got a big deal coming out for him. Can't reveal it yet. He's about to sign. Every week, right? Every week was about a new rugby league player. We're going to get him signed. We're going to get a massive deal for him. They have completely changed the tunes as I've done the correct move and basically said that we're not going to be doing that anymore. And there's some talks that he was asked whether or not they want to renege. What is it called? Renege? Renege? Basically, if they want to cancel the deal with Joseph Suaalii at $4.8 million, there was some talks about potentially just reneging that deal. But the chairman currently said that's not going to be the case yet, but we will see. And here's some quote from McLennon, by the way, with regard to Joseph Suaalii. He's saying that Suaalii is going to fill the stadium. He hasn't filled the stadium for the Roosters yet, so somehow he's going to fill the stadium for the Wallabies. He'll be a fresh of air for rugby union. I never even heard of this guy, by the way. Hamish McLennon made Joseph Suaalii famous amongst the rugby union viewers. I don't watch rugby league. He made him famous, okay? And then he's saying that it's going to be an amazing, incredible talent. Whatever, dude. A-grade players can come in and make a difference, yeah. Yeah, dude. Hasn't made a difference at the Roosters yet. Hasn't played a State of Origin yet. Hasn't won an Origin match for the New South Wales Blues yet. And you think he's going to come in and win the match for the Wallabies from the wing position? Who's going to touch the ball like 3 times a game, right? My goodness, this guy. Just absolute fucking idiot. So let's talk about the alignment. Rugby Australia clubs, there's a bit of a back and forward between the clubs on where they stand on the alignment. So first up, the New South Wales Waratahs already on board because they were like financially struggling essentially, and they basically got the part of him becoming they basically bailed out by Rugby Australia. They're like owned by Rugby Australia or something like that now. So they're basically already on board. The Brumbies basically has to a little bit concerned They wanted to make sure that the current framework don't hurt them, how their region is being developed, how their how much influence it's going to exert onto them, because the Brumbies is the most successful club in Super Rugby. The only kind of club knows what they're doing when it comes to developing talents, playing rugby and delivering results. And a majority of the Wallabies is from the Brumbies as well. So they're going to be really careful of like a failing management taking over and asserting their themselves onto their union. The Reds is also very skeptical. The CEO, Dave Hannum, Hannum, I don't know how to say his name. The CEO basically came out and basically said that one of the main frustrations is with the rugby league player acquisition talks, especially when it comes to big talents like Joseph Suaalii. That talent's going to go for the Waratahs, by the way. So the Reds are not going to get anything out of this. The $4.8 million that they spent, so they're not happy about that at all. And they're basically talking like that's one of the big frustrations that he's talked about and he's not happy about. And also he talked about that there's absence of detail of how the centralization is going to go. Nobody really knows. It's just Eddie Jones doesn't even know. Nobody knows. It's just some talks at the moment of how that's going to work. They need to work out some kind of framework. The Rebels, believe it or not, of course they're going to be on board because they're a bunch of fucking idiots. They don't know what they're doing anyway. They have one of the most talented teams in the Super Rugby, and yeah, they're somehow the worst fucking team in the system, in the whole competition. And then, Rebels, they get everything handed to them as well, right? They get the Blurs World Cup every year, goes to fucking Melbourne for some reason. And then Super Rugby, Super Round, right? Every year goes to Melbourne in a fucking empty stadium over 3 days. It's still going. It's going again next year, by the way. 3 years in a row, Super Round's going to go to Melbourne. And of course, they're going to sign up, right? After all the money handed to you, and you still run your club into the ground, and right at the bottom of the ladder, right? What excuse do you have? When Rugby Australia comes and say, hey, you better sign up. What else are you going to do? You're going to say no? And lose your fucking job because you're absolutely fucking incompetent? Right? You can't say no. You got to say yes, right? So yeah, the Melbourne Rebels has already been signed up because they're fucking completely useless and incompetent. Western Force is it's kind of like on the edge as well because they pretty much self-manage as well with the Forest brothers kind of like funding everything there as well. So they're not too. They don't want to. Yeah, they kind of got to be really careful of not like losing that autonomy for themselves when it comes to managing a Western Force. So yeah, that's kind of the state of where Rugby Australia is at. When it comes to new head coach, still no talks of who's going to be yet. Initially, I thought Coleman, what's his name? I keep thinking his first name is Dan, but it's not Dan. The Waratahs' current coach, Coleman, initially I thought he was going to be selected because, Hamish McLennon would want to have a scapegoat for after losing, losing the Lions tour, right? And also Coleman's already at the Waratahs, already under his thumb, so he can just use him as a scapegoat. But I think that the fact that McLennon's gone, most likely they're going to probably go for Stephen Larkham, who's done a pretty good job for the Brumbies last year, who was, the best performing Australian team. So he probably deserved a bit. And also a lot of the Wallabies came through the Brumbies as well. So Stephen Larkham could potentially get the Wallabies job. He's said that he's open to the Wallabies job. He hasn't been spoken to yet, apparently, as of reporting on this news. But he's pretty keen to have a crack at it. More big name Wallabies are leaving for overseas. Lachy Swinton, one of my favorite players, the guy who debuted with a red card Swinton, Lachy Red Card Swinton, one of the most aggressive players in recent memory for the Wallabies. Very bright future, and really, really sad to see him gone. He's going to be going at the end of next season to Bordeaux in France for some, big money. Really sad to see. We go from one corruption story to another corruption. I guess Rugby Australia is not a corruption story. One, egomaniacs to another group of egomaniacs in France. And this time, actual corruption has been involved. Bernard Laporte and has been hired to work at Montpellier as a as a manager. What is it? What do they call him? Director of rugby role at Montpellier. And Montpellier, interestingly, is owned by Altrad, the guy that is charged with corruption alongside of Laporte in the French national team, Laporte and Altrad, right? So the two guys that was together. Let me see if I can get some of the articles up. Yeah, so the two guys, Altrad is, you can probably see it on the jersey, on the French jersey, and then the All Blacks jersey have it as well now. Altrad is a company that sponsors France and All Blacks, and the owner, Mohid Altrad and Laporte were basically involved in a lot of deals behind the doors, which I don't know. I don't know. Basically, there was corruption between the two under I think it was something to do with sponsorship with the French Rugby Union, right? So they basically got done for that. Mohid Altrad, the billionaire, is facing 18 months suspended prison sentence and a €50,000 fine. And Laporte is looking at 3 years and a fine of €50,000 for the same, as part of the conspiracy that these two were involved in. So yeah, they both probably can manage the Montpellier in jail at the same time, I guess, sometimes in the future. So yeah, we're looking forward to that, to Montpellier being run with jail visits. But yeah, so they are. So yeah, as soon as Laporte is hired at Montpellier, it was bad news for Richard Cockerell, who's currently looking as the head coach of Montpellier, who was on a six-game losing streak, and immediately Laporte has decided to pull the trigger and fired the current coach, Richard Cockerell. Cockerell has been linked as of the firing to potentially taking over Georgia in their national team as a replacement coach there. But for the Laportes, for the Altrad, the big names, the big guns, they wanted to call in. Potentially, there's some talks that they wanted to call in Ian Foster and Joe Schmidt to be the next coaches at Montpellier. So yeah, we'll have to see if that's going to happen. But you know, Fozzie and Joe Schmidt could definitely use some money. I think Fozzie will be interested in that. Not sure if Joe Schmidt wants to return to Europe because he wants to stay home to look after his son. That's the reason why he left to New Zealand. He wanted to spend more time in New Zealand with his he has a handicapped son he wants to look after. So I'm not sure if Joe Schmidt will be interested in that job. But Ian Foster probably will be king for that. I think Fozzie is currently in Japan, signed to Japan at least. So we'll see how that goes. There's a major axing in the French national team. Raphael Ibanez has been let go from the French national team, who worked with Fabien Galthié through the World Cup. And next up, we've got a massive return for the French team, which got me quite excited. Uini Antonio is said that has been talked to come out of retirement for, he basically announced retirement at the end of the Rugby World Cup, and then he's been talked by Fabien Galthié to come out of retirement and return to rugby just a month after announcing his retirement. And I mean, he's only 33 years of age. I mean, if he looks after himself as a prop, he can play up to 37, 38 to the next World Cup, no problem. It's not unthinkable for a prop to be still in prime shape, prime form, 37, 38 years of age. Absolutely no problems for these big boys, especially with the physicality that Uini Antonio presented for the French team was just unbelievable. He was by far the best prop, tight hair prop at the Rugby World Cup. He was giving absolute world-class loose hair props, Stephen Kitsoff and even the group, a world of issues throughout the scrummaging. I was very, very impressed. I was actually kind of sad that he retired, and it's good that he's returned. And boy, excited to see the best tight hair prop in the world returning to the French team and sharpening up his knives for the Six Nations ahead. So Fabien Galthié has managed to achieve that for the French fans. Next up, the Michael Hooper, alongside with Anton Dupont, I guess there's a lot of big names, has been signed to play sevens next year at the Olympics. Number one, I just want to let everybody know, I don't watch the Olympics. It's just rife with corruption and leaves whichever country is stupid enough to host it in a world of financial problems and empty, stadiums and all that sort of shit. And sadly, it's coming to Australia again. to Brisbane, but I don't watch Olympics, so I don't watch this. I don't care. And so Michael Hooper apparently went to Sunnyvale Williams, because Sunnyvale Williams played in the 2016 Rio Olympics for the Sevens team for advice on whether or not he should switch to the Sevens. And Sunnyvale Williams was straight up, don't do it. Don't switch to Sevens. And I 100% agree. I think that, in rugby, I think in rugby Sevens, it's not really, it's a competition. It's a direct competition for rugby, 15s game, in my opinion. And I think that that is not, that's really, you really need to draw a line and really make the number 15 game the marquee game. And that there should be no reason for a 15 player to play Sevens. Like, Sevens could be a great developmental platform for the 15 game, but the 15 game needs to be the pinnacle of the game, needs to be the absolute best of the best players playing into it. So I really disagree with anyone. I don't care who you are. I don't care what they give you. Gold medal, a ticket to the mask with Elon Musk. I don't care what they give you. The game, 15 game, definitely should be prioritized over Sevens game. But for Michael Hooper's case, I understand he's kind of like semi-retired from the 15s game, so I'm happy with him. But for Dupont, I really hope that he doesn't play Sevens, but he's decided he will be. So yeah, good luck. I'll just let everybody know, Samuel Karevi plays Sevens in the 2000 and last year or the year before, with the at the Commonwealth Games, and he got injured, and he's never been the same. Yeah, he's basically never been the same player. He lost all his form that he had before playing Sevens. For what? For nothing. For basically nothing. Literally nothing. He didn't get a medal. Nothing. And just completely wasted his time, injury off the sidelines, and never found the same form that he did before playing Sevens. So I still, I'm still really angry that he plays Sevens. But Hooper, different story here, different situation. But for Anton Dupont, good luck. Hopefully you are still going to be the same after, the Sevens tournament, and maybe you can get a gold medal to consolidate yourself for losing the Rugby World Cup at home, I guess. Whatever, dude. The next up, Richie Mo'unga has made some interesting statement this week. He basically, so currently the head coach of the All Blacks is Razor Robinson. Razor is basically the head coach, was originally the head coach for the Crusaders, and Richie Mo'unga basically grew up in his professional career with Razor. So there are some talks that is Richie Mo'unga going to come back to All Blacks and play, under his former tutor, former coach. And the answer from Richie Mo'unga is that no, he's going to be fully committed for multiple years with the Japanese club. This is his new beginning for his family. And so it's completely not, unlike, Bowden Barrett and I think Sam Kang, who's kind of taking a sabbatical sort of thing, that will be back returning. But the Mo'unga will not be returning for at least a few years. So that's, pretty big statement. And the All Blacks will have to go to a succession plan with the new fly half in, Damian McKenzie will have to take over the reins and fly half for the All Blacks in that regard. Rassie Erasmus came out on his book and talked more about, what happened, revealed more about what happened at the Lions tour. A lot of, pressure that was put to him. There was a point he talked about where he basically the Lions tour was going to get cancelled due to COVID, and he talked about the story there. You can go read it yourself, I guess. And he didn't want to. He was thinking about resigning because the Springboks was not allowed to play any games, and the Lions were, within their bubbles playing games, and they felt like it's going to be a national embarrassment getting flogged by the Lions due to lack of preparation. And they did have they did talk about having that South Africa A game against Georgia was really important to them, and how they fought really hard to get that game. And then another game that was really kind of worked out for them was the Western Province game. Remember the South African A losing to the Bulls? I think they lost to the Bulls in the warm-up game in the Lions tour, and Rassie was really happy. He was just smiling, year to year. And he was, really happy to just getting the players out on the field, finally getting a feeling of the selections, how he's going to go. He gave basically the B team full run at the time against the the Bulls, and the Bulls gave a good run and actually beat the Springboks A team. And so Rassie was really happy to see the results, and he finally got the answer that he needed, the confidence that he needed to make the selections for the Springboks opening match against the Lions, right? And so yeah, some really interesting stuff you can read. And again, hashtag shilling for Rassie's new book. Next up, we're going to look at some big names for the New Zealanders. So there's been some talks about, we've spoken about Uini Antonio, formerly an All Black prospect, went to France and, shown that his dominance. And there's been some big talks about who's going to be the next big prop coming through the All Black system. Obviously, they've already got Tamati Williams, who has shown himself to the world at the Rugby World Cup as a prominent, massive loose set prop. There's a couple talks about some big guys. Saula Ma'u, another Tongan-born prop, going to play for the Highlanders. Just give a look at this guy. That's a Tamati Williams, the absolute mammoth. And then we've got another guy. This guy is, this was the guy. Yeah, Saula Ma'u. Look at the size of this guy. Just absolute gigantic boys. And then we've got the third prospect that was talked about in this article is this guy, Pasilio Tossi, a Hurricane, another 140 kilogram giant prop. Look at the size of this guy, man. Jesus, look at that stride. Look at the size of this guy. So yeah, some big prospects from the All Blacks. I really like to see the All Blacks scrummaging be more dominant again, especially having these big boys as they're on the radars. So gets me a little bit excited thinking about having these massive people returning for, showing up for the Super Rugby rounds. So we've got some racism allegations against the commentator in England Premiership, Ugo Moye, I don't know his name. He was copying racist abuse from a fan on the sideline, and then he was really disappointed that nobody stepped up to say a word whilst the incident was happening. So yeah, he was kind of like upset that people didn't have the courage to step up against racism whilst it was happening against him. There was some talks. Henry Arundell was being offered contracts to play at the Rugby League, and turned out he turned them both down. Turned down both opportunities, but he was offered to play at the West Tigers and the Dolphins. And I don't even watch Rugby League. I know the West Tigers is by far the worst team in Rugby League. And it's like, you better play for the Wallabies than play for the West Tigers, to be honest. They're that bad, yeah. The Dolphins, on the other hand, is more promising. They have Wayne Bennett as the coach, who actually done a really good job for their opening season. But again, Dolphins is really thin on talent. It's going to be a new team and everything. It's going to be really difficult, situation for Henry Arundell, who kind of also developing to be stepping into a club that's trying to find his fit as well. It's not really a good environment for him as well. I think if they really want to get Arundell over, they probably have to offer him a place at the Roosters so he can live by the beach, and also maybe Penrith as well. I mean, Penrith, it's already out in the middle of nowhere a little bit, so probably gonna have to be either probably at the Roosters, maybe the Storm, maybe the Broncos, but yeah, definitely wouldn't take any deal from West Tigers, especially from the West Tigers. That's a bit of an insult for Harry Arundell to be offered a contract at West Tigers, to be honest. There's some injury updates for England Rugby. Big loss for England Rugby is Tom Curry is going to be out of the Six Nations due to a hip problem. And then another massive name is kind of injured for a little while is Ben Earl. He's got an injury to his right leg. A minor E procedure had to be done to fix his leg, but he will be okay, potentially be available for the Six Nations. He'll be back in action until January, with Six Nations in February, so he will be just in time to be available for Six Nations. Elliot Daly was limped off the field, but he's actually okay, so he's gonna be ready to play this weekend. Next up, Blake Kinghorn is talking about going to Toulouse to fill the vacant spot that's left by Melvin Jaminet. So Jaminet has left for where did he go to? But yeah, anyway, Jaminet left for Did he go Clermont? Yeah, so yeah, Jaminet went to Clermont and then leaving open a spot at Toulouse. Blair Kinghorn, very good fullback for the Scotland team, and going to Toulouse for an opportunity there. Alan Wynne-Jones is finally retired. He played his final game for Toulon on the weekend in a close win over Clermont. So I don't know. His retirement just keeps on going, right? It's been like a year now. It's been just retire, and still retiring. And finally, Eddie Jones. There's a lot of stupid news about Eddie Jones, but I just wanted to clarify everything about Eddie Jones at the moment. He is not going back to Japan Rugby as the national coach as of yet of this report. He is going to be a consultant at the club Suntory in Japan, because he's been a consultant at Suntory since 1996. So he's going to be doing that for Suntory, and he's not actually consulting with Japan Rugby as, you know, this this kind of title kind of suggests that Eddie Jones has got something to do with Japan Rugby at the moment, but he's not. He's just going to Suntory, a club that has always been there. He even went there during off seasons when he was coaching at England. So and people were complaining about that. This is something that he's doing for his whole life, and it's going back to that role. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for everyone who's donates money and sponsors me with YouTube membership, Patreon, whatnot. I do appreciate your money, and yeah, have a good one, guys. I'll see you guys this weekend, and I think I'm gonna bring out what I think Rugby Australia can do to improve the current management, but wait for that video coming out this weekend. Anyway, guys, have a good one. See you guys later. Cheers.